Nearly a month after majority of old notes were mopped out of circulation, the challenge of cash squeeze has continued to persist as new notes have remained elusive. Following widespread condemnation of the Naira redesign policy by the Central Bank of Nigeria and its accompanying pains on Nigerians, a 7-member Supreme Court panel ruled that the old Naira notes remains legal tender until December 31st, 2022. The Apex Court gave the ruling on Friday, the 3rd of March, nullifying the federal government's decision to stop the old 500s, 1,000 Naira notes being legal tender, which took effect on February 10th, hereby faulting government's handling of the process and declaring its methodology and implementation unconstitutional. However, 3 days after, President Muhammadu Buhari and the Central Bank of Nigeria are yet to respond to the Supreme Court's ruling, as all eyes are now on the presidency and the Apex Bank over the validity of the old notes. Senior economist and partner at SPM Professionals, Mr. Paul Alaje, is joining me live from United Arab Emirates, Dubai, to give us more insights into this developing issue, of course, the developing story amid broadening economic issues. Mr. Alaje, thank you so much. It's good to see you on the other side this afternoon.
Thank you so very much for having me. Good afternoon.
Well, let me start by saying that after the ruling of the Supreme Court, many expected things to change. But up till now, we are yet to hear anything official from the CBN with regards to the old Naira notes. And we know that if the CBN does not come out with any document, the banks will remain the way they are. I still see long queues everywhere around banks, around ATM points. So what is your reaction to the Supreme Court ruling and what has trailed that development afterwards?
Well, the Supreme Court is the highest court of the land. It will be very difficult for someone to say something contrary to what the Supreme Court has said. The judgment that came from the lead judge was very clear as to that the old notes and the new notes should be spent side by side. Unfortunately, what is missing, a number of things, technical things are missing in the judgment. And I can tell you that because of these things are missing in the judgment, it will be very difficult for central bank, because of some of the information that are in public domain, to do, I mean, for Nigeria to, I know there are a number of things Nigeria are expecting. Number one is that we should start seeing banks opening and giving us old notes, having old notes, bankers are paying directly from the counter using the old notes. I'm not a lawyer, but as an economist, I suppose that is what many would interpret the judgment to me. But what is missing is the issue of money supply. You see, currency of fiat, once the legislation or the law backs it, it becomes a law and for a country. So the real problem we have with this currency issue is not whether the money is color blue, color yellow, color black, color green. It's actually the issue of supply side. The available amount of supply in the economy is very small compared to what the economy requires. And the level of education for our people is also very low. So move to other electronic channel using internet banking, using a mobile app, USSD, the available number of education for our people is very, very low. You saw the just concluded election where people are saying, oh, it should have been loaded. I don't want to get into politics. I want to leave it, for those that have said they will go through the appropriate channel, which is good. We should not run down our country. We don't have any other country apart from Nigeria. We don't have any other passport apart from Nigeria. So we have to make sure everything works well in our country. It is also we have to fix it. So here is the challenge. The courts has mandated the central bank and the federal government to do the needful. The question is, do we still have those 500 and 1,000 Naira notes? If we had them, why in the last broadcast by Mr. President Muhammadu Buhari on this issue, why were they not allowed? Why was it that only 200 Naira was said to be in the economy? And when you look at the 200 Naira in the economy, what volume was released back into the system? So if the money has been withdrawn, what has happened to them? Are we sure the money are still available, or the money have gone through the proper means of destruction or of removing them completely from the economy? And why is it difficult for us to have sufficient supply of money, which is what I think they should have been consulted even before we have a judgment in the first instance. The truth is that I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that in spite of the judgment, the crisis still continues, because the judgment is important and we must respect the place of our judges, especially that of the Supreme Court and every other court in Nigeria for that matter. But what was not taken care of in that judgment, or what was not envisaged in that judgment, is supply side. The supply side with the policy, the interested party must know what was the supply of money in the economy, and what is the supply side today in terms of currency of fiat. I'm talking of money in circulation. I'm talking of paper money. So if you don't have up to that volume, there is nothing, whether you release old notes or you bring new notes, those are conversations at the fringes of the matter. But when you're looking at the core reason why people will continue to kill or will continue to have some level of scarcity, or people will complain, it is because the supply side has been affected. The expectation of Apex Buy, I suppose, is that people will automatically migrate to the to other banking channels. Unfortunately, for most of the bank, they are not working. In cases where they work, where we are supposed to get where you're supposed to get token, that SMS to initiate some transaction, it just does not work. So in places, in situations like that, there is nothing like judgment covering it. So I have looked at it. Yes, it solves some of the problem for those that have this currency in their hands. Another thing is we need high level of education for people to know. And that is why it's important for Mr. President and the governor of Central Bank to come up to let us know whether their position will align with what the judgment passed by the court has said, or there is another stand, so that Nigeria will not continue in a guesswork. The silence is so loud, and it means a lot to over 200 million people right now.
Great stuff. Now, the claim that the CBN says the money in circulation is too much. You are an economist. Some say this has no basis in economic theory. I don't know. You are going to let us understand that. And also, an amount of about 15 trillion naira has also been mopped up by the cash reserve ratio. I'm worried that is the CBN not shifting away from more important functions? Look at the ways and means, more than 20 trillion naira, about 22 trillion naira. And you're talking about how much in circulation that you've been able to mop up 2 trillion naira and putting back, some say far less than 1 trillion naira. And that is why we face this challenge at the moment.
So I would respond by saying that it's important we get professionals who understand the workings of economy in monetary and fiscal authorities. If we don't, it will continue to hurt us as a people. We said this 7, 8, about 9, 10 years ago, and not so much has changed. If anything, inflation that central bank wants to fight continues to increase. We have been on double digits since 2015 or 16 thereabouts, and we've not been out of it. So here is it. When we say money in circulation, it's different from currency in circulation. Money in circulation or supply side includes even the digital money. So proportion of money that should be in circulation should be in paper. I have not seen in this country that I am now, they don't have cash crisis. There's a difference between money crisis and cash crisis. Money, currency, paper is a subset of the entire money in circulation. So it's just a portion of it. We will not, because we want to manipulate or adjust money supply, then we now curtail availability of cash completely. Now, let me play the devil's advocate. This policy have also, because of what I've seen on social media, we have seen situations where people that held money hostage in their homes, and I dare call them wicked. Those who have refused to take money back to the banks, for banks to lend such money to investors. for employment to be, for growth to happen in the economy, it's also bad. So while I understand that position for central bank, but I believe that there are agencies of government that can attack these issues headlong and make sure that we remove or reduce money laundering severely in our economy. So that said, I think that there is a required volume of money. Central bank governor I had a press statement sometimes ago, about last month or so, and he said over 2.1 trillion naira has been withdrawn from the economy. And what, as at that time, which I believe should have increased, what they have put back in the economy is above about 400 or 800 billion naira. The gap is much between 2.1 trillion to 400 or 800, depending on what exactly the position is. Again, the way this policy was implemented was too sudden. It had impact on the economy. And that is why you are seeing seizure and so on and so forth. The truth is that a lot of people have migrated into online banking, but the effectiveness and efficiency of that platform is also very low. And now let me say this: have we really controlled money supply? If people are spending 10 naira physically, they changed and started spending 10 naira digitally, what is the difference? What is the difference? For your economy to grow, we need velocity of money to be accelerated. For any economy to grow, velocity of money must be accelerated. In this instance, rather than accelerating velocity of money, is getting sluggish. That may have impact on growth announcement by the National Bureau of Statistics. So in making economic decision, it's an holistic decision. It's a system decision. You don't look at it from the myopic view of a segment of the economy and take an economic decision. Unfortunately, rather than seeing growth, we are going to see retrogression, or we will only see growth that will be hampered eventually by inflation.
Moving to talk about inflation, yes, I'm going to ask, because that is what the central bank has always said. They are trying to curb inflation, and we've seen increase of rates all to fight or to tame inflation, which seems not to be working. And as we go on with this, small businesses are crying. Daily transactions, those that deal with cash on daily basis, are actually complaining that they're getting out of business. What is the outlook? How does this affect the shape of an already not looking very bright, considering the challenges that we face? What does this mean for our economy? Because as it is, the notes are not available. That's the truth. Let's tell ourselves the truth.
Well, maybe I should balance it. New note not available, not available. When you search, network provider have issues, and sometimes your bank network may also not be available. How, for money you've earned legitimately, how do you live? What exactly must we do? These are real issues. But, referring to your question as to what must be done, I strongly believe that the central bank will need to work again with various banks to improve their different channels. Because when these channels are not really very functional, it's going to have impact. There is this new payment platform that is not necessarily a bank, that many people are now run into. I don't know why that technology in the same space, in the same country, this technology that started as something for riders in the street of Lagos, before Lagos State government brought a policy to sanitize the environment in the site of having too many Okada around. That technology, that company started it as an app. Today, it becomes a platform where people make payment, and it's assumed automatic that once you send money via that particular app, you get your credit on time and you move on. I think that we need to do more with our financial institution, because at this time they seem to be comfortable with the practice of just buying bonds and treasury bills. They've not paid serious attention to some of their digital platforms. Again, it has been alleged that perhaps some of the tech guys within banks are no longer in the country. It's an allegation that maybe they've been attracted by international community, and talks around the technology-driven people also has it that perhaps bank has lost a number of their staff to international organizations. These are real issues because saying in Nigeria inflation is high, central bank have mentioned, as you stated, that all of this is because of inflation. Unfortunately, rather than inflation going down, it continues to oscillate as we speak. The general inflation is even higher, even when this policy began months before that time. That should tell us something, that the origin of the problem is not just monetary. Therefore, we need also non-monetary measures to solve challenges of inflation. I give you an instance. Last 2 years ago, the cost of diesel was 390. Today, it's about 930. What has changed from 390 to nearly 900 naira and more? Is it because there was so much money in supply? I mean, there was so much money supply in the economy? The answer is not. It's simply because our exchange rate gets worse, one, two, because of the crisis between Ukraine and Russia. And again, when cost of energy increases, look at cost of power. Quietly, without any announcement, cost of power increased radically in Nigeria. So when the cost increase and people's income have not increased, revenue has not increased, capacity has not increased, productivity has not increased, it will definitely lead to inflation. And I think that there is need for a convergence. Monetary and fiscal authority must understand they cannot continue to work separately. And when economists ask for convergence, we are not saying they should go and have just meeting. We are saying that they should holistically look at the policies and look at point of agreement, such that the impact on small businesses will not continue to abound or to increase. And we are going to see growth and development within the country.
Mr. Paul, CBN has the right to redesign the Naira, but they don't have the right to deprive me of my money. I just want to ask in a layman's term, a bank that I save with, I go there and I want my money, and they are telling me they can't give me my money or telling me how they want to pay me my money. What really? Because there are some agreements we sign with these banks when we open accounts that we don't take seriously. How does that come to you?
Well, to me, I think the beginning of this policy, I remember I spoke with you. I think I was in this country when the policy was announced, and I spoke with you at length about it. And I said this policy, rather than achieving its goal, it may be another policy that will not achieve its goal and it may not be accepted by Nigerians at the beginning. I said it's not a bad policy. You are going to find out a lot of people that have laundered money. You are going to find out a lot of things, which of course happens to be the matter. You see, the level of awareness and education is very good. Then the readiness of the Nigerian state for this policy to be implemented is also very poor. We don't have the infrastructure that we need. This is something that banks are barely managing to provide quality service for their customers. Now that we have told more people to go into the same banking system, it's a challenge. We must also understand that everybody will not use each channel. Everybody will not use that channel. And it's not whether they are poor or they are rich. There is minimum amount that is reasonable that people must have access to as cash. This is what is applicable in countries over the world. I know there are countries that are trying to implement this monitoring, not monetary, monitoring policy. The goal is to monitor people's transactions, either for money laundering or otherwise, but to monitor each decision people take in their finances, more or less taking away their freedom. So, but there are other countries where monitoring and taking some of these decisions and policy could better be done in other means rather than the approach that we have taken. So, like I said earlier, the policy needs a major review because we have a lot of poor people in our country that cannot do without cash. Some of them don't have accounts. They don't have all the requirements, get driver's license and all of those things bank we ask them to get. They don't have it. And in instances where they have it, they believe that bank charges the 25 naira is a lot to them. They believe the 100 naira, 25 naira, they put money in savings. They expect it to grow. What they see at the end of the month is reduction. People have been frustrated and even closed their account. And we must understand that the group of people I talk about is more than 50% of the Nigerian population. It's not my figure, it's UNDP and National Bureau of Statistics. And the National Population Commission that said we have quite a number of people. National Bureau of Statistics and UNDP then said we have over 130 million people that are living in multidimensional poverty. Someone who doesn't have access to toilet, access to water. Is it the person we are saying that must have bank account? We just need to be realistic to ourselves and know that our population, even if these policies will be implemented, it should be gradual with a lot of education so that people can easily plug into it. But is this what we have seen? I'm afraid not.
Mr. Paul Alaje, I must thank you so much for your time. It's always a delight having you join us on the program. Mr. Paul Alaje is a senior economist and partner with SPM Professionals. Thank you so much. You joined us live from United Arab Emirates, Dubai.
Thank you so very much for having me.